Hey everyone, it's me again, and wow, once again, it has been forever since I sat down to film. I am back. It has been a while, but I wanted to give myself a little bit of a break because, as a lot of you know, my 26th birthday was this past weekend, so I wanted to go ahead and celebrate that with my husband and my friends. It was a great time. Thank you to everyone who wished me a happy birthday, but I'm back and better than ever, and it's time to get a request. I love it when you guys request stuff. This look was requested on Twitter, actually. For those of you who don't know, I do have a Twitter. I leave all my social media in the description box, so feel free to go, keep up the faith, follow me around. I had a follower on Twitter, a lovely, beautiful, beautiful young lady named Catherine, who watched my Clinique All About Eyeshadow tutorial on the Wear Everywhere Greens palette, and she actually ended up picking up the palette, which is really cool. She also picked up another Wear Everywhere palette, if I can find it. Apparently it's the Wear Nowhere palette because I cannot find it. There it is. She also picked up a second Wear Everywhere palette, the Wear Everywhere Nudes palette, and she asked me on Twitter if I could make a tutorial using this palette because she didn't know what to do with it, and I was like, boo-boo, I got you. This is the look that we have come up with for this beautiful palette. There are the shades. Aren't they lovely? This is a very, very beautiful neutral palette, lots of shimmery tones, but the ones that stuck out to me the most were the kind of bronzier shades, and so I opted, in a turn of events that hardly ever happens in my makeup applying life, I opted to be on trend. I researched all of the fall makeup trends for 2015, and I decided to make an on-trend makeup look using this palette. So even if you're not on trend, this is a very glamorous, very easy, straightforward look that would be perfect for a night out, and it just so happens to incorporate some of the trends that are really popular on the runway for this season. So this is what we're going for, very, very bronzy, blended, smoky eye with a very deep, dark, vampy lip. I really, really like how this came out, and actually in this video, I have two different lip options for you. One of them is this extremely deep, dark, vampy lip featuring the Wet n Wild Megalast lipstick in Vamp It Up, which is one of my favorites because it makes my teeth look white as hell. And I also did another lip combo for those of you who maybe don't want to do the whole super dark thing, but still want to do a fall vampy lip. I have that option for you too. It's more in the berry family and is featuring the Lunatick Labs Apocalyptic in the shade Cinderhella. Beautiful deep pink color. And I use that to create a kind of ombre berry lip that is still vampy, but a little bit more wearable and workable than this one. So if you want to know how to get this beautiful on-trend makeup look, then keep on watching. Hey guys, what's up? What's happening? Been a minute, but here I am. Today I'm trying a new eyeshadow primer, by the way. It's from NYC. It's the CityProof 24-hour eyeshadow primer stick. We'll see how that goes, but that's all already done. Brows are already done. I have a brow routine if you want to see it. It's up in the cards. But first, we're going to put on a transition shade, and for that I'm going to use this shade at the very, 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 very back, which is Chocolate Bark, which is the only matte eyeshadow in this palette. Now, this shade is pretty dark, so I'm just going to barely tap my Sonia Kashuk 109 in there, and I'm just gonna rock this just above the crease, focusing mostly on the outside, and we're gonna blow it out. I am now going to hop straight into the lid. I'm gonna take Moroccan Brown, which is that shade right there, the beautiful bronzy shade, and I'm gonna take my e.l.f. eyeshadow C brush and pack this all over the lid. And you're kind of building up into that crease color as well. And there we go. And you can see that this has already kind of started to blend for me because these shadows are super, super easy to work with. But I'm just gonna take my 109 and run it over everything real quick. All right, now that that's done, we're gonna work on the lower lash line real quick. And I'm gonna take my matte brown shade, my chocolate bark, and I'm going to put that on the outer part of the lower lash line, connecting it with the upper. Oh, and this is a Real Techniques accent brush that I'm using for this, but any teeny tiny brush will do. And then I'm gonna take Moroccan brown and go the rest of the way in with that. Not quite all the way into the inner corner, but most of the way. And for this other eye, I wanted some inner corner brightness, so I went ahead and took Daybreak, which is the second shade right here in the palette. Nice light pale gold color. Loaded that on my accent brush and just popped that right in the inner corner and then a little bit on the front end of the lower lash line. And there you go. And we're not carrying this onto the lid at all. We're just mostly gonna keep it straight to the inner corners because I tried to carry some onto the lid on this eye and it just did not mix well with the other shade. So not even gonna bother with that. And then I'm just gonna kind of tap this same accent brush off and blend Moroccan brown and the shimmery shade together. Perfect. And when it comes to shadow, that is pretty much it. Now, the one thing I will say about this palette that I don't especially like is that there's not a whole lot of matte shades, and in particular, there's no matte skin tone shade for me. I mean, you know, if you're a person of color or someone of a deeper skin tone, then, you know, this chocolate bark shade might work as a skin tone shade for you, and if so, that's awesome, but I am not that color. I needed, like, I was kind of crying for a blending shade here, something that I could use up on the brow bone to kind of blend everything out. But luckily for you guys, and for me, and for all my pale girls out there, translucent powder can actually double as a blending shade. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of my Coty Airspun and just use that to help blend any harsh lines up toward the brow. And this goes for any palette. If you run into an eyeshadow palette that you absolutely love, but that doesn't have a matte skin tone color to use for blending, don't panic. Just use a powder. A face powder in your skin tone works just fine. Just like if an eyeshadow palette doesn't have a good transition shade, bronzer works great for that too. So I decided I wanted a little bit of depth and I wanted to play a little bit more with the colors in this palette. Now, if you wanted to, if you don't want this to be too terribly smoky, you could stop right here and you have this very, very trendy, very pretty kind of eye look. Just do the rest of your face and you're good to go, or your liner and your lashes, which I'll get to in a minute. But I am gonna go ahead and take Jute Brown, which is that shade right there. It's like a neutral brown with a little bit of shimmer to it. But I'm just gonna take that on the very, very outside, outer third of the lid and just deepen that up a little bit. Not too much, because this is quite a dark color and I don't want to wreck things or make anything muddy, but I do want to give a little bit of dimension. And then I can go back in with Moroccan brown and start to blend that through the crease, or even chocolate bark if you like. Just kind of alternate with those colors and make sure that darkness is blended out. And then I'm going to pop back into my skin tone powder and just use that to blend any harsh edges near the top. Nice soft circular motions. Just make sure everything is good and blended up there. And for the final step in the eyeshadow, I decided to go ahead and do a pop of interest in the center of the eye because, again, I wanted to use a few more shades in this palette and it felt like it needed something, I don't know, something a little bit more interesting. So I am going to take, what's it called, At Dusk. this shade right here. It's a bright coppery orange color. Would go great with the last tutorial I did for colored mascara, which is up in the cards if you want to see it, or I'll put it in the description. And I'm just going to take a little of this on my eyeshadow C brush and focus it really in the center of the eyelid. So now for liner and lashes. This is a pretty long and involved process for me, so I won't bore you with the actual process of doing it, but when it comes to fall 2015, at least from the looks of things, liner is not winged out and it's not all the way across the eye. It's a black line starting from the center of the eye moving outward. And then, you know, the inner part of the eye is just kind of left bare. So I'm going to be using my Physicians Formula Eye Booster 2-in-1 Lash Boosting Liner and Serum in Ultra Black. I don't actually know if this helps your lashes grow, but I haven't used it in a while, so I'm going to go ahead and party up with that. And then for mascara, I have been trying a bunch of new mascaras, trying to figure out, you know, anything new to make my new holy grail, but I opted for the Wet n Wild Max Volume Plus mascara. I just got this not too long ago. This is the re-promoted one that's in the fall collection for Wet n Wild, so I opted to use this, and then I layered some Makeup Forever Smokey Extravagant mascara on top. Lashes, false lashes are still pretty trendy and they would still be perfectly decent to use with this look. I don't feel like wearing them today, so I am not going to use false lashes, but that is also an option. For a look like this, if you want to go with false lashes, I would go with something nice and wispy, like the Ardell 120 Demis. The Ardell Wispies would also work just fine if you're looking for a little more length. So I'm going to go ahead and do all my liner and lashes and whatnot and get my stuff ready, and then I will be back for the lips. Alright guys, I'm back and I am flawless. I went ahead and did my face makeup off camera. You guys don't need to see that. It was kind of boring. The only real different things that I used was I used the Milani Baked Blush in Rose D'Oro, which is one of my favorite fall blushes. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful. Nice deep pink color to give a little bit of flush. And then for bronzer, instead of my usual, I decided to try out the NYC Color Wheel Mosaic Face Powder in the shade All Over Bronze Glow. Kind of ironic that they call it glow, but it's matte. It's not new to NYC's line, but it's new to me, so I decided to bronze a little with that. Everything else is pretty much the same. Watch any of my other tutorials if you want to see what I do with my face or my cheeks or what have you. But let's talk lips. I've got a couple lip options for you guys. The trends that come from the great they say that the trends for lips this fall are going to be red and black and plum. I mean, I don't know when red isn't on trend, so that part is kind of like, well, duh, but what I see in the magazines is kind of like a brick red, so something like the NYX lipstick in Alabama would be beautiful. Just any kind of dark, deep brick red like that. Keep on the lookout. You probably have one of those in your collection already, so that could be cool. The blackened plum, that part is kind of up for debate. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube call their lips black and plum, and then they end up looking more like burgundy or something that leans more in the berry family. So when I think of black and plum, I think of a couple different lip options, and I will show one of them to you today, and then I will show another option that is more in the kind of berry pinkish neighborhood for people who may not be ready for such a vampy color. First, for both of these lip colors, I am going to be using a lip liner, if I can find it. So for both of these lip combinations, I'm going to be using the same lip liner, which is the MAC lip pencil in Nightmoth. Honestly, this is the only MAC lip pencil I have, and it's the only one I've ever really needed that I couldn't find anywhere else. Although NYX's lip pencil in Y2K is really, really similar to this. It's a little bit more brown, so that is an option as well if you want something drugstore. But first we'll do the berry lip option that is a little bit more wearable, a little bit more comfortable for most folks. So I'm gonna line my lips with Nightmoth. There we go. And you're done. No, I'm kidding. But you notice that I left a pretty sizable gap in the center, and that's because for this more wearable kind of berry-toned lip, I opted to go with a kind of hot pink color for the center, and you'll see how it works in a second. I've used this lip combo before with a lot of great success, but this is the Lunatick Cosmetic Labs Bullet Lipstick. I think they're called Apocalyptics. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I usually just call them bullet lipsticks because look at this packaging. I mean, hello, right up my alley. Now, Lunatick Cosmetic Labs was kind enough to send this to me for review, so thank you guys very, very much. It's a beautiful, beautiful lipstick. It's in the shade Cinderhella, which, awesome name. But you see, they call it a blue-toned hot pink, but it reads berry to me a lot, and it especially reads berry on my skin. So I'm gonna give this a go right over that lip liner to create a kind of ombre effect. And there you go. There is your finished lip color for this lip option. I really, really like how this came out. Now, if you wanted, you could kind of go back and forth with the lipstick and the lip pencil a little more. If you want more depth or less depth, just kind of adjust as you go. And regardless, clean up with concealer afterward, because otherwise your lip lines are not going to be looking clean and crisp and sharp. And that is never cute, no matter what trends you follow. So this is the first lip option. It's a little bit, I mean, it's still definitely a vampy color, make no mistake, but it's a little bit more wearable for someone who isn't necessarily going to be comfortable with the blackened plum trend. This is a little bit more of a wearable way to still rock that same look. So there you go. Do a little awkward posing. And now I'm gonna take this off and show you guys the next lip option. All right, guys, I am back, and I went ahead and put on Nightmoth again just to kind of save time, because that's a pretty long and involved process, lining and filling in your lips. But this time I filled in my lips the entire way, so cover every single bit of surface area, and honestly you could even go with this as a lip look, but I'm going to go ahead and put on Wet n Wild's Megalast lipstick in Vamp It Up over top. Just add a little bit more blackened plum for this option. And there we go. That is with the lipstick in Vamp It Up over top. Now, no matter which of these two lip options you end up going with, definitely remember to clean up with concealer afterward, because it's gonna make you look like a pro. I love this color. I love how white this makes my teeth look. Ugh! If you have issues with yellow teeth like I do, a deep, deep grape color like Vamp It Up from Wet n Wild or Vava Violet from Revlon will definitely make your teeth look 10 million times whiter. So this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let's do a little bit of awkward posing. Awkward posing. Looking down. Looking forward. Looking fierce. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and learned a lot about how to use this lovely, lovely Clinique All About Eyeshadow 8-pan palette in Wear Everywhere Nudes to create the perfect bronzy, on-trend fall makeup. If you did find this helpful, there's a button for that. Spank that like button in the butt, you know it deserves it. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe and become a member of the faithful today. We're awesome people. Thank you guys so, so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!